The basic principle within Taiji Qigong Shibashi will start by looking at the breath, and then from the breath we'll connect to the movement and the meditative state. So we start with the breath because the breath is the structure that helps the movement to function better. Once we have better functioning, better relaxation in our posture and our movement, then the mind can become much more relaxed as well. Because by releasing the tension in our body, that helps to release the tension in the mind. And it's easier to do that in the body than to try to figure out what part of the brain is holding the tension that's here. So by releasing the physical tension, the mind becomes a lot softer. Once the mind and the body are softer, they start to communicate better, and that's where the qi comes into play and really start to build, because the qi is the gasotransmitter. It connects the body and the brain together and make everything function better and gives us this expansiveness within the body and then the ability to connect with the outside world. So by looking at the breath as our first step, there's a few principles that we follow. First, we inhale through the nose and exhale gently through the mouth. So we basically just let the lips slightly open. The exhale is as soft as if we were exhaling through the nose, but it's just out through the mouth, and that helps to allow the mind to become quieter. So if we just do it together, we'll do 3 breaths. So gently inhaling through the nose, and then soft exhale through the mouth. Inhaling through the nose, exhale. In, out. And notice how just this gentle breath helps the mind to drop and becomes a lot quieter. Um, Generally speaking, inhaling, exhaling through the nose will have a bit more of a tonifying approach. Inhaling through the nose and a stronger exhale through the mouth will be more dispersing. And this kind of inhale, exhale that we just did with a really soft exhale has a bit more of a harmonizing effect. So it's neither too tonifying nor strongly dispersing. It's kind of just in the middle to allow us to become calmer and feel a bit more connected. Um, it allows for releasing excess when the tension is a little too strong and we need to let it out. And it's not just through the nose and we're actually tonifying when we feel like we want to release something. Yeah, and it's not too strongly dispersing that people feel a little drained after. So we have this harmonious balance that comes with the breath. Um, Breathing this way, the breath is giving us the rhythm at which we'll be doing the movement. So at first, often people have a fairly shallow breath, so they're trying to move a little fast. Allowing the breath to become softer and becomes a little slower and deeper will help us slow down our movements. So as we go deeper and deeper into that, it allows us to really slow down to, 3 to 4 breaths per minute, maybe even 2, where the whole movement becomes very slow and soft and deep. And usually, once people start to get in that realm, for a while, it's difficult to do the movement any faster than this. We get to this place of relaxed and depth quietness, and the body wants it. It kind of craves it, so it forces us to go really slow for a while. And then once we've been around that long enough, there's a switch that happen, and then flexibility return, and we're able to be as quiet and relaxed as if we were breathing 2, 3 times a minute while doing something a little faster. So playing with these gives us this kind of full range of motion and then return into more flexibility for the speed at which we breathe and do our movements. Generally speaking, the breath and the movement will combine together in 3 different possibilities. The inhale will be with the rising, the exhale with the sinking. This is kind of the main central axis, the vertical line from which As we inhale, the chi and the blood rise, and as we exhale, it comes back down. If we look at it purely on, the functioning of the lungs, um, when the diaphragm goes down, it creates pressure into the lower abdomen and it creates a vacuum around the chest. Therefore, that pressure squeeze a little bit the blood, which, because there's a vacuum above, helps its return towards the heart. Same thing with all the fluids are kind of brought back towards the lungs so that the gases exchange can happen. And then once the chest not collapse but get pressurized again and the diaphragms come back up, the vacuums start to show up more towards the organ, which helps the return of the blood towards the organs. At the same time, we have also the primary respiratory movement, or the cranial sacral rhythm, where as we breathe, our spine becomes a little bit more straight. The physical motion that allow the breath to expand helps that movement through the spine, and then the cranial bone starts to open up following this kind of wave of movement, which creates also a bit of a vacuum around the brain, pulling the cerebral spinal fluid and the lymph up to the brain, and then on the exhale, it brings it back down towards the organ to be cleaned up. So we have this global rising when we inhale and global sinking as we exhale. From this, we also have a left and right component. So as we inhale, our movement, when there's a left-right component, will go towards the left. And then as we exhale, we'll go towards the right. So the global movement starting towards the left is also related to the blood, which comes in more to the right into the heart before going out the left through the body. The yin yang aspect of the right side being yin, the left side being yang. We see it in this way with the blood flow. We also see it in the digestive tract, particularly with the large intestine that goes up the right, cross over the left, and then out. So we have these big movement within the body. If we want to be a bit more technical in biology, all of our protein spin towards the left. Everything spin towards the left within the body. So it's just the way things are. And interestingly, the way we orient the Earth, it's also spinning towards the left. So there's a global movement in that direction that seems to relate to life in general. So we start towards the left with the inhale, we exhale towards the right. And then we have movement where we bring in towards the body as we inhale, and then as we exhale, movement are pushing away from the body. So these global principles through the breath and how it coordinates with the body makes all the movement a lot easier to follow, which interestingly makes sense as well because the right brain controls mostly the left side and vice versa. So we have this crossing around. And also, you know, in this sense, the kidneys in the body are reversed as well. The right kidney is the yang kidney, the left kidney is the yin kidney, but the kidney are the only organ that connects straight on the same side hemisphere and not crossing over. So basically, the right brain, which is the creative brain, is the yang brain, which makes sense, whereas the square, logic, calculated brain is the yin brain. So through the breath, we'll at first, we have to learn the choreography, so our movements are a bit disconnected, but quickly we start to feel how this pressure vacuum and how we move to create them inside the body and to create the breath will start to ripple out towards the arms, towards the legs, towards the head, how we have this general pump in the body that then creates a wave that go out to the extremity and come back. And so gradually with this, we have this coordination that comes from the breath that helps to coordinate the lower body and the upper body so that our movement become a single movement, really connecting the body together as we go around. And through this, because we start to observe the body, so at first when we learn the movement, our mind is a little busy learning. And then once we've repeated the movement enough, the mind starts to become quiet and almost become bored of doing the same thing yet again. And this is where the magic really starts to happen. Because that means we've done the movement enough that we don't need to think about them. The muscle memory is there so we can play. Therefore, now we can take our awareness into the body a little bit more and say, okay, what's going on? What am I feeling? Where am I at? Um, at first, we can use images, a kind of visualization, just to keep the mind busy so that it doesn't jump from one idea to the next. So using an image becomes a little bit like a placeholder to say, okay, I'm not sure exactly what I'll do with my mind yet, but right now I'm on top of a mountain. I look far away into the horizon. It's a beautiful day. And I feel already a little bit more relaxed because I create this image in my head. And images can help us also a little bit with the feeling of chi to get into it because we're not busy thinking and we're a bit more present using an image that connects us with the movement. Once we're a little bit more used to this and we've trained the mind to be present through that image, we can remove the placeholder and just observe what's going on into our body. As the sensation of chi becomes stronger, we can observe and say, "Ooh, what am I feeling as I'm doing this? Where's the wave going through? Where's the intensity? Am I feeling tension? Am I relaxed? If there's a little bit of tension in an area, okay, can I release it? Like, that feels a lot softer. My lower back just opened up a little bit more. My posture on the chair is improved. Okay, what's next? Up. Okay, I can feel a little bit more my shoulder blades moving with my arms. I can observe what's going on in my body and then start to grow this connection also between heaven and earth and eventually also feeling more into the environment and feeling more connected with the world in a sense. But first, we need the mind to become quiet. And so it's like, oh, look, there's a shiny red ball. Play with that for now. Like, okay. So our mind stays focused as we're doing it. In the more meditative practice, there are few options that are out there. And the reason being there's different people. Some brain function better with images, some brain function easier to just hyper focused on one thing and that's easy for them to stay on it. And sometimes people are jumping everywhere, so having an image or two focus point helps them bouncing from one to two, and that helps to become quieter, and then we can just focus on one and then we can go deeper into the practice. So if images don't really work, observing, following your hands. Where are they going as you're moving up and down, for example? Observing, are your, hands and legs or arms and legs coordinated together? That's another way to look at it, where your mind is kind of moving through your body. And so it's not static in one point, and then it's easy to jump to something else and not come back. And so through the movement, it's easier to follow and stay present. And then as sensation develop through the movement, there's an interest. The mind's like, ooh, what's coming next? What am I going to feel next? And then there's pleasurable feeling that starts to develop in the body, and that's where really it becomes like, oh, that feels really good. Let me just sit in there a little longer because I like that. And then if the mind gets distracted, it's like, oh, the good feeling's gone. Let me come back. Let's go back to it. It was better than thinking about this stressful thing I may have to do later. It's not as useful. So playing with that is a good way to quiet the mind, stay into it, and it's a process. I mean, meditation is meditare comes from the Latin and means training. We're training our mind to be present. So this is the goal of meditation, is to train the mind. It's not to be in that perfect state instantaneously, otherwise it wouldn't be as fun. It's like, oh, okay, I did it. So we get to that, and it's a training process. So basically, through our movements, the positioning of our hand are globally guiding the chi in the body. We're not trying to use our intent to move the chi into a specific area. Basically, our intent is the movement that we're doing and allowing our body to do it as released, relaxed as possible so that the chi is free to move. So, for example, if I'm working on the lungs, I have an expansion here, I'm bringing my hands back and down. This is the second movement of set one in Taiji Qigong Shibashi. And some people would have the tendency to say, okay, because it's for the lungs, I'm gonna bring the chi up, feel the connection of the channel, go all the way to the thumb, and then bring it back and then down. And so by doing so, we force the chi to stay only in the lung channel, because the saying is, where the mind goes, where the yi, the intent goes, the chi follows. This is actually more a warning than a how-to. It's like, be mindful where your mind is going, because your chi will follow it, and not you have to do everything with your mind, and because that's where the chi will go. It's like, not so much. So yes, the mind leading the chi. So basically, when I'm opening here, if my awareness is simply to let the chi extend through my arms all the way to my fingertips, then I have, the pericardium and the heart channel also that can help the chi going. Um, we have all the different layers of the channel as well. So if I'm focusing just on one channel, am I focusing on the primary channel? Am I in the sinew? Am I in the collateral? Am I in the luo connection? Where is my mind going? Do I have to feel all of them? How can I feel all of them? How is that going? And the lung channel, the primary goes from the torso to the thumb, but the sinew goes from the thumb to the torso. So are they going both ways at the same time? Is it one way and then return to the other? Whereas if we allow the chi to just expand and come back, we may also discover that the yang channel in the back of the arm will participate as well, and the body may adjust through what we need to. If I'm doing my exercise in the afternoon between 3 to 5 p.m., that's the time where the lung channel should be at its lowest. So is it really the right time to push as much chi through the channel as I can? Maybe not. On the 24-hour clock, it should be at its minimum. So having a more global approach and allowing our subconscious mind to regulate the movement of qi through the body based on what we need at that moment is the preferred approach. So we allow it to become softer and self-regulate rather than micromanaging everything, which is never a really good idea.
Thanks for watching. Leave your question or comments in the comment section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to learn more about Taiji Qigong Shibashi, visit my website, qigong18.com, for more information on online classes and private classes, just like the one you just watched. Have a good day.